Hello and welcome to Moment of Truth on Labour Social. I'm Graham Hughes. So the results are in and the House of Commons has voted to approve the Rwanda bill on its third reading, with the results of 320 ayes to the right and 276 noes to the left. 11 Tories voted against, Leander Thol and Jonathan Howler Monkey Gullis abstained, but Brendan Clark, whoever, voted in favour. So Brenda resigned as a deputy chair to support a doomed amendment, then voted for the bill anyway. Bill Cash, Robert Jenrick and Cruella Braben voted against it and should lose the whip, but probably won't. Hardly anyone else rebelled. The Tories, who huffed and puffed and blew absolutely nothing down, clearly bottled it at the last minute, mostly because they have no replacement leader waiting in the wings who actually wants the job, not least till after the Tories assess who's left in the wake of their upcoming electoral reckoning. The so-called rebels got precisely none of their idiotic amendments through, not a single one, which funnily enough is the exact number of refugees who will be sent to Rwanda. 0. Yeah, I hate it to the spam gargling gammonati, but this ridiculous piece of legislation still has a long way to go. It will now be sent to the House of Lords, where it will be debated and amendments sent back to the Commons. More parliamentary time wasted as dozens, perhaps maybe hundreds of peers will want their say, whether they want to make it more draconian, less draconian, or get rid of it entirely. And here's the thing, it could go back and forth for up to a year. That's right, a year. That's how long the House of Lords can hold up this legislation. Quite easily. But we have an election this year. That's the law. And here's the punchline. Keir Starmer has stated that if Labour win the next election, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to scrap this bill. So, if it gets to the House of Lords, which it won't, and the High Court is like, we were wrong, Rwanda is a safe country, not going to happen, and the ECHR says, you're right, you can break international law in a specific and limited way, you crazy Tory kids. Yeah, right. And they find an airline stupid and desperate enough, or convince the MOD, to fly the 16 or so refugees a month we'll be allowed to send to Rwanda. That's right, 200 a year. That's what Rwanda has agreed to take, or 1 in 225 of the number that came over in boats in 2022. Even if all that happens, this whole scheme is doomed to failure. Even the MOD want no part of it. Labour have promised to kill it dead. It is a dead scheme walking. The fact is, Rwanda is not a safe country to send refugees to. Declaring it is does not make it so. Also, declaring that we're going to ignore international law is never a good look, because then when dealing with the UK, other countries can then ignore international law and say, well, you did it first, which is not a great idea when you're a country like ours, desperately looking around the world for trade deals, since we've been the greatest trade deal in the world when we, voted out the EU. And then you've got Rwanda itself. They don't seem to be too bothered either way. President Paul Kagame was interviewed today and he said, well, people don't come back. We'll just give them the money, maybe. It's not a life and death situation for them, like it's a life and death situation for the refugees. But now, because of the sheer stupidity, arrogance and incompetence of Rishi Sunak and the Brexit headbangers, they've made it a life or death situation for the Conservative Party. Oh dear, how sad. Never mind. Let's be real. This idiotic plan was flawed from the start. The Tories claim it's to deter refugees from getting into small boats and crossing the channel. But as Chris Bryant pointed out in Parliament yesterday, if people aren't put off coming here by the idea of having to get into a crowded, flimsy boat to cross 30 miles of icy, shit-filled water in the middle of the night, then a 1 in a million chance of them being flown to Rwanda isn't going to even touch the sides. If anything, this is just going to help the people smugglers, give them an excuse to jack up their prices and make even more profit from human misery, compounded by the fact that the Tories won't do the simple, easy, affordable solution to stopping the boats, which is to allow safe routes for refugees to claim asylum in the UK. Refugees from anywhere in the world, not just Ukraine. Don't forget, before 2018, there were no boats to stop. This, like Brexit, austerity, and the fact our economy hasn't grown for 17 years, is a crisis entirely of the Tories' making. Kind of fitting that it'll be their undoing. Anyway, That's my take on the situation. Let me know yours in the comments below.